My parents gave her a Lexus and me a rusty bike, so I rolled up in a Bentley. I was 14 when it hit me, barely a background character in the story of my own family. It wasn't some big, life-changing moment. More like a slow burn, a dull ache that crept in over time. Year after year of birthday mornings that felt like any other day, soccer games played to empty bleachers, and parent-teacher nights where the only empty chair was the one meant for my folks. But before I dive into all that, let me say this, I've noticed the channel's been slowing down a bit lately. If you're here and you like these stories, hitting that subscribe button is the easiest way to show support. It's fast, it's free, and it really helps keep this community growing strong. My sister Lena? She was the shining star. The so-called miracle baby. Mom had a rough miscarriage before Lena came along. So when she was born, it was like sunlight breaking through a storm. And me? I was just the dim glow that no one paid attention to once the room lit up. Lena got everything, private tutors, violin lessons, a brand new phone every year, and a bedroom that looked straight out of a Pinterest fantasy. Me? I bunked with the laundry machines and got told, hand-me-downs build character. At first, it didn't really bother me. I made excuses for them. Told myself they were just busier now, working harder since Lena came along. I figured maybe I was tougher, that I didn't need as much. But that logic wears thin when you're pedaling a rusty bike to school while your little sister pulls up to her recital in a chauffeured Audi, one she didn't even bother to practice for. Dad always used to say, we're raising 2 kids, not running a competition. But it always felt like a game I never had a shot at. Like the judges picked a winner before I ever showed up. Then came the Christmas right before Lena's 18th birthday. I'd just gotten accepted to a local college on a full-ride scholarship. I'd been working part-time since I was 15, kept a perfect GPA, helped with chores, even pitched in on Lena's homework. None of it seemed to register. That morning, I got up early out of habit, not excitement. I didn't expect much. Maybe a card. If I was lucky, a hoodie. But then I saw it, silver wrapping, ribbon as wide as a football field, sitting in the driveway, a brand new Lexus. I didn't even have to ask who it was for. Lena let out a scream and sprinted toward it like she was in a commercial. My parents were right behind her, grinning from ear to ear, snapping pictures like they were documenting some royal moment. I stood quietly behind the living room curtain, just watching, waiting, hoping like an idiot. Finally, Dad turned around and said, "We didn't forget you." Then he went into the garage and wheeled out a bicycle. Not even a new one. It was used, with a tire that sagged flat. "You can ride this to your college classes," he said. But it wasn't really about the car. And honestly, it wasn't even about the bike. It was the line that came next that did me in. "You're more practical anyway. Lena needs something flashy for her internship. You're not into that stuff, right?" I said I didn't care. Bit down on the inside of my cheek and nodded like I agreed. "Thanks," I muttered. I spent the rest of the day alone in the attic, sitting by a tiny round window, watching the snow drift down. I wrapped my disappointment in silence, like it was some unwanted present I had to pretend to be grateful for. But in that silence, something shifted. It wasn't a breakdown, it was more like a plan forming in the dark. A quiet blueprint. Stronger, I told myself. Or maybe just used to less. Either way, it became fuel. I picked up more hours at the campus bookstore, taught myself coding late into the night, and started a side hustle fixing broken websites for people who didn't know where to turn. Whenever I wasn't studying or working, I was learning about taxes, flipping investments, buying used electronics, and throwing what little I had into stocks no one believed in. I graduated early with honors. And Lena? She bailed on her internship because she said it was too much pressure and decided to take a gap year. My parents barely blinked. Instead, they shipped her off to Bali so she could recover from burnout. Meanwhile, I moved into a tiny apartment the size of a closet, worked out of my car between classes, and eventually pitched my tech service to a small-time investor. It didn't explode overnight, but it grew. Slowly, steadily. That invisible grind I'd been building for years finally turned into something real, something worth attention. And I made damn sure the first person to notice it was me. By the time Christmas rolled around during my senior year of college, everything had flipped on its head. I wasn't riding that old bike anymore, hadn't in a long time. I had a different set of wheels now, but that part comes in a minute. That Christmas morning, exactly 1 year later, I didn't wake up in some tiny apartment with cold drafts sneaking through cracked window panes. Nope. I opened my eyes in a high-rise suite, floor-to-ceiling windows showing off the skyline like a painting and underfloor heating keeping everything warm. Warm like the life I had built from the ground up, the one they never cared to be a part of. My company had just landed a 6-figure contract with a major cybersecurity firm. I had a small but solid team of 5 employees, a reputation that was starting to turn heads, and a custom-ordered Bentley Continental GT parked downstairs waiting for me. That car? It was a gift I gave myself the day I signed my first $1 million deal. And it wasn't really about the money. It was about finally being done knocking on locked doors, waiting for someone else to let me in. But that Christmas, I made the decision to go back. Not because I missed them. Honestly, I didn't. I just wanted them to see. I didn't call ahead. Didn't send a heads-up text. I just got in the car and drove. The roads were quiet, snow falling gently like a memory trying to resurface. Driving through my old neighborhood felt like flipping through a forgotten chapter of a book I'd stopped reading. When I pulled into the same driveway where they once handed my sister a Lexus and tossed me a used bike with a flat tire, the garage door was open. Inside, everything looked exactly the same broken lawn chair, same crooked bike hanging on the wall like a joke that never stopped being funny. Lena's Lexus wasn't there. Turns out she totaled it last summer and blamed the brakes. My parents covered the damage through insurance and handed her the keys to their SUV like it was no big deal. She'd moved back in by then, said traveling had become too stressful. Mom now called her a delicate soul. I walked up to the front door and knocked. Dad answered. His eyes shot past me to the car in the driveway, a sleek black Bentley glistening in the snow. He blinked, clearly thrown off. Is that a rental? I just smiled. Nope. It's mine. Lena came downstairs wearing designer pajamas. Let me guess, another gift from them. She looked me over with that same smug little smirk. Oh wow, she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Did you win a contest or something? I laughed. In a way, yeah. Insert ironic narrator voice, please like and subscribe, and let us know in the comments, where are you watching this from? Then Mom stepped out of the kitchen. She froze in the doorway, holding a mixing bowl in one hand and that same familiar look on her face, that kind of forced, polite disappointment she always reserved just for me. Only this time, I saw it crack a little. What are you doing here? She asked. I didn't answer right away. Just took a moment to glance around the living room. It looked exactly like it always had, same decorations, same tree overstuffed with perfectly color-coordinated presents. Then I spotted one with my name on it. My guess? Socks. Or maybe another mug that said something like, World's Okayest Son. I figured I'd bring my gift this year, I said, reaching into my coat pocket and pulling out a plain white envelope. Mom narrowed her eyes. What is it? My dad looked at me, tired and unsure, and asked, What is this? I handed him the envelope. He opened it, unfolded the document inside, and as he read, the color drained from his face. What is this? He mumbled. It's the deed, I said. To this house. Lena gasped. My mom dropped the mixing bowl right there in the kitchen, and it shattered across the tile floor like glass punctuation. I bought it, I said, steady as ever. 3 weeks ago. I didn't bring it up earlier. I was waiting for everything to go through. You bought our house? Mom barked, voice rising with disbelief. You think you can just show up here and... No, I cut her off. I don't think I can. I know I can because I did. The bank took my offer. The house was headed for foreclosure. I looked her dad in the eye. I guess those Bali trips weren't free after all, huh? You can't just kick us out. Lena shouted, her voice sharp and panicked. I reached into my coat again and pulled out a second envelope. Actually, I said, handing it over, these are the notices. You've got 30 days. Dad still hadn't said a word. He just stood there, holding the deed like it was written in another language. You always told me I was the practical one, I said. So I made practical decisions. You raised a business person without even meaning to. Lena threw her arms up in the air like I'd just announced the world was ending. This is insane. You're doing this to hurt us. No, I replied calmly, taking a few steps toward the door. I'm just returning the favor. I looked around the room one last time. Remember last Christmas? I do. I remember every second riding that busted-up bike in the snow. Every late night, every time you told me I was used to less. Well, I used all of it. Mom was red-faced now, trembling with rage. We gave you a roof over your head, food on your plate, and this is how you thank us? I turned back and looked straight at her. You gave me the basement. You gave her the world. Then I opened the door, stepped outside, and added, I just bought the land you built it on. They stood frozen as I got into my Bentley and took a long, slow breath. The engine came to life with a deep, smooth growl, quiet, but powerful. Just like me now. And then I pulled away from that house on Christmas morning, leaving them behind the same way they had left me behind years ago. A few weeks later, the house was officially mine. On paper, in my heart, and in every way that mattered. They didn't say goodbye when they moved out. Lena threw up a bunch of cryptic posts online about betrayal and fake family, acting like she was the one who'd been wronged. I didn't bother replying. I didn't have to. That first night, I stayed alone in the house. I walked through every single room, letting the silence settle in. I ran my fingers along the walls they once used to shut me out. I stood in the corner where my tiny desk used to be. I even opened the same closet where they once told me, this is all the space you need. It felt like walking through the ruins of a war I somehow survived. But I wasn't the same kid they used to overlook. A month later, in the same town where people once watched me pedal around on a rusty, embarrassing bike, a crowd lined up outside my new office building, my company's headquarters built right in the district they always said was too far out of reach. My name was on the front of that building. Big, bold, permanent. At the grand opening, a reporter leaned in during the media interview and asked, So, what inspired you to start this? I smiled. Slow and easy. A bicycle and a Bentley. But that wasn't even the real twist. A few days after the story went viral, I got a handwritten letter in the mail. It was from my grandmother, the one they always swore left nothing behind when she passed. Inside that envelope, a copy of her original will. It read, My savings, stocks, and jewelry shall go to my first grandchild, the one who always made the effort to visit, even when no one else cared. Tucked inside was the account number. 7 figures. Turns out, they'd known the whole time. They'd lied. They kept it from me. But now, that inheritance was already in my hands. Already growing. Already mine. Just like the justice they never saw coming.